Good morning, everybody. I'm Larry Weissoon. If you enjoy real-world hunting and fishing talk, you're really going to enjoy listening to my good friend, Luke Clayton, and his guest for the next hour.
This is David Fox, and welcome to Outdoors with Luke Clayton and Friends. Luke has been a recognized outdoors writer for the past 3 decades and writes for a host of outdoor publications. Luke pens a weekly newspaper outdoors column that appears in over 40 Texas newspapers. Luke is on the pro staff of Pyramid Air, your one-stop shop for everything air gun related. Smoking Tech's electric smokers and AGM Global Vision, maker of an awesome line of thermal hunting scopes and spotters. Feel free to contact Luke through his website, catfishradio.org. Now let's join Luke and his guests for this week's show.
Welcome to the Campfire, coming to you from the TWA convention. I think this was our 38th year back in 1985. 2 friends and I started Texas Wildlife Association, and we have come a long way since then and got a lot of things going on, but need to thank our sponsors as well, too. DSC, Conservation, Education, Hunter Advocacy, Hornady, Accurate, Deadly, Dependable, Taurus that makes some really nice handguns and some other things, but also Vineyard Max, and I want to go back a little bit later and talk about Stealth Vision too. But Luke, I have to tell you, the Vineyard Max guys are set up to have sell their product here at TWA convention. And one of the things that they've done is some time ago they asked me to design a couple of knives in conjunction with Silver Stag knives up in Washington, and spent some time up there not very long ago. And those knives, there's 2 of them. It's called the Weissoon Whitetail number 1 and Weissoon Whitetail number 2. The designs are a little bit different, but they're based upon about 60 plus years of taking animals apart as a wildlife, as a hunter, as a guide, and all those other kind of things. And so they're introducing those knives here at the TWA convention this weekend.
Awesome. I'm anxious I saw the design on those knives, Larry, and one thing I like about them is the length of the blade. We agree on that for sure. We don't like a Bowie knife to skin a deer or a hog. The shorter blade knives are just way more practical to me. And you've told me what kind of steel is in those knives. So I'm anxious to. I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna be skinning some hogs and deer with one of those. And what's the blade like? 3.5 inches or something like that?
Well, to me, they're probably about 3 inches or even a little bit shorter. I've often said, and I know you agree, and what really thrilled me is when I started talking with Brad Smith, who owns and I've known him for a while as well, too, with Silver Stag Knives up in Washington. And all those are handcrafted. Every one of them is. It's not stamped by a factory. They're hand done. But he and I agreed, as you and I do, is that essentially any blade that's longer than your index finger is a waste of good metal, because when you're cutting, you really can't control those longer blades in terms particularly of taking an animal apart. If you're gonna, maybe a little longer blade can come in handy when you finally get to butchering. But even, man, I tell you what, I've taken those sharp blade knives such as those that I designed, and I've taken apart elk and moose and all kinds of really big critters in the past. And to me, those sharp blades like that, and they're basically a tool steel. And what that means is that they're hard, but they keep a really good edge, but they're also a little bit easier to sharpen than most knives are too. And of course, to me, the secret of having a sharp knife is to get it sharp, and these come from the factory, unbelievably sharp. And then just take carry a little steel or something with you, and while you're cutting, every once in a while, just kind of hit that knife on the steel and keep that edge on. But if you remember, this is the basic design. I changed it up a little bit, but when you and Jeff and I were in West Texas, we shot numerous does. And if you remember, I went through about 5 or 6 deer, totally gutting them, skinning them the whole 9 yards without ever even trying to sharpen my knife. So same steel there, same basic design. I changed a couple little things on that knife that I like, that I think hopefully others will like as well too. But these are user knives. When I sent you pictures of them, that was your comment, and I really appreciated that.
Well, and they come with a holster, right?
Yep, they come with a sheath, and it's designed such that it can be hung so it's perpendicular to your leg, or it can fit on your belt so that it runs kind of parallel with your belt, kind of like a cross-draw holster type of thing. And then there's a little strap in there too that attaches so that you can keep that knife in there all the time. You don't have to worry about it falling out. But so that's it, like you mentioned, and I'm going to quote you if you don't mind saying. Luke Clayton says these are user knives, and that's what they are. They're not really a caper. They're not a gutter. They're not anything.
Combo.
These are just knives. They're user knives, like you happen to say.
Yes, sir. One thing that I did notice, and one thing that is really important in a hunting knife is the short blade. I just like that. Like you, Larry. I like it's from practice. I've just found they work better. But you've got to have a point on that thing that'll start your initial cut. You have to. You got to have it, and those knives do. The tip of them are, you need to make that first cut through the hide. You've got to. And a real rounded tip wouldn't do it, but those will. You can stick it in there and start your skinning process is what I'm trying to say. It should work out perfect,
Yeah, I think once people get them in their hands, and they're relatively economical price kind of thing, and they're going to be available through Vineyard Max by going to their website, which is vineyardmax.net.
Yep,
and also through silverstag.com, and Silver Stag's going to put them in wherever they have knives with their dealers, and same thing with Vineyard Max. And they've got, I think, close to 70 different dealers right now. So then they're expanding that market as well too. So we're really proud to be associated with both those groups, and so very appreciative of the fact that they, kind of like the knives, and they're going to be pushing them with every opportunity they have, as I will, and hopefully people will like them. Is all I can say.
You bet. Well, we won't take up a whole lot of time talking about the fun time we had recently. I've got Mr. Joe Cunningham with Stealth Vision scheduled to call in next. We're going to get Joe on, talk about the fun we had down at Crockett, Texas, shooting long distance. We were there, and they make some awesome optics. I've never shot optics or shot anything near what they've got. And I'll go into it in depth, or get Joe to go into it, talking about them in the next segment here coming up. But gosh, I took that a stock rifle. They have custom rifles that they sell as a kit with the in other words, with the scope attached and sight ready to go. But I just had a stock rifle, actually a CVA Cascade, which is a minute of angle type of rifle, but got some real good groups out of it. And I thought, shooting 1,200 yards or 1,000 yards, that's not something I do. It's not. But it's fun. I'm afraid I'm hooked on that long range shooting. The farthest I've ever shot was, and we might talk about this. This is something that practical, but the farthest I've ever killed a deer in my life was 429 yards. That was out in Alpine, and I remember that day like yesterday. It was a custom 270 pre-64 that this guy had spent a bunch of money on. Probably had a shilling barrel, I don't know. He had some kind of a special barrel on it, and he told me that it would do it, and it did it. He told me right where to hold, and that was years ago, but that's the farthest that I'd ever shot. But that long range shooting is a whole different animal than shooting up close. Wind is so important, that's something that I'd have to learn, or have some flags out at different yardages just to see where the wind was, but that was just a lot of fun shooting out there at those long yardages,
Look, it really is. I've been fortunate over the years. Of course, when I lived in Uvalde, I spent a bunch of time with Tim Fallon and his guys up at the FDW Ranch, where they do teach long-range shooting. But they, as kind of our guys there now, I like to call them our guys, Dr. John McCall.
Yeah.
And Matt Burrows and Joe Cunningham, is that those guys, they teach long range shooting, or they encourage long range shooting, but they're very much into precision shooting. And that precision to me means that you learn how to shoot at that 1,000, 1,200 yards at a target, at a milk jug, at a piece of steel, so that when you crawl up within 100 yards or 200 yards, you've got to make a shot at that animal that you've been hoping to take all your life. There's a 5 to 6 inch window that you can put a bullet through, and with their scopes particularly are phenomenal. I've dealt with optics with the main name companies over the years a bunch, and worked with them. And I'll have to tell you, the optics that they have in the glass that they use, and the technique that how these are put together, and everything about these scopes that they have, they're a little expensive, but I'll tell you what, if you've been hunting all your life and you're looking for that one animal, and then finally you got a chance at it, you really better have a really good scope on that rifle and know what that rifle is capable of doing. And with these particular scopes, I know you got Joe coming on, and we'll let Joe tell people where to go, but I can tell you, after having spent a lot of time with the name brand scopes from all over the world, not just North America, but from Europe as well too, these scopes and the optics that they have, and of course they're developing a spotting scope as well too. They've just finalized it that I had a chance to look through as well, and there's nothing finer out there. So, to me, I can't encourage people enough to get to know more about Stealth Vision, because they're the up and comer. And the thing about it is, knowing Dr. John Cunningham and Dr. John McCall and Joe Cunningham, they're not going to give up. They're just going to continue to look for new things and better things to make their products that I consider the best even better.
Yep, it's there now, and it's going to be a contender for sure in the future. Well, Larry, we are just about out of time. We are celebrating this summer 16 and 1/2 years together every week, talking about everything from catching trot lining for catfish to long range shooting. I hope we can do this a long time, buddy. It's been a lot of fun. I want to thank you for being with me.
It's my pleasure, and I'll remind people very quickly, TWA convention is going on. If they want to bid on some of the hunts that we have, they can go to onlinehuntingauction.com and look it up. And even if they're not there, they can bid on those hunts. And Luke, we'll see you around the campfire next week.
I'll be right here, buddy. Folks, this segment is made possible by Ultramatic Feeders. Go online to ultramaticfeeders.com and check out the most awesome line of game feeders in the world. I've been using these things for 15 years, and I've got one that's been in the woods about 10 or 11 years. I forget exactly how long. Check them out, ultramaticfeeders.com. Pyramid Air, your one-stop shop for everything airgun related, anything you need relating to air guns. Go online to Pyramid, Pyramyd, pyramidair.com. Folks, this segment is made possible by Smoking Tex electric smokers that I've been using a long, long time, Catfish Pro, catfishing baits, and catfish supplies, the Bow Barn in Greenville, Texas, right there on I-30, Ultramatic Feeders, and AGM Global Vision, maker of the spotters and thermal scopes that I hunt with. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed me and Mr. Weissoon talking. We do cover the gamut on everything from fishing to hunting. But Larry was with me, last week down in Crockett, Texas. We were with some friends with Stealth Vision, and we were shooting some long range. By long range, I mean 1,200 yards, way out there. Our guest is with Stealth Vision, a new friend of mine, Mr. Joe Cunningham. Now, he is part of Stealth Vision, and he knows a whole lot about shooting long range. Joe, thank you, buddy, for being with us.
Hey, it's my pleasure, Luke. I'm happy to be here, and really happy that I got to meet you.
Well, it was a pleasure, and I want to tell you, I've been bragging on you, Joe. You it's one thing to know your business, know what you're doing with something, but it's a whole different animal to be able to relate that to other people. And that's exactly what you did. I mean, I'm a rifle shooter from all my life, but I'm a rifle shooter within 300 yards. I mean, I've went to one school they had me, a day school shooting out long range, they called it, 600 yards years ago. But I saw you showed us, my friends with me, and Larry Weissoon was with us too, some things that really educated me. So I'd like you to tell about the scopes, the Stealth Vision optics. They are Dr. John McCall, who is an eye surgeon, came up with some technology that actually has revolutionized hunting optics the way I see it, Joe. It's changed. It's been a game changer, hasn't it?
100%, Luke. Dr. McCall and myself, we were with a different company at one time, and had a little issue with not keeping up with the times or the technology this day. And if you don't do that this day and age, you kind of get left in the dirt.
Mm-hmm.
And so his idea was, let's go out and start our own company and make the best optics in the world. And if you know Dr. McCall at all, he doesn't like finishing second or third. He likes finishing first. So what he has done, he's very smart, very intelligent man. He developed and patented a glaucoma eye surgery mirrored lens. And once he did that, and other surgeons everywhere in the world seeing what he had done, now it is the number one lens used for glaucoma eye surgery. So he says, why can't I bring the technology from the microscopic lenses used in surgeries and stuff to the hunting world?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the reason nobody's done it, they never heard of doing it. So, long story short, the technology that he had in patenting the glaucoma eye surgery lens, we integrated that technology into our optics. Now, you put that technology into our optics along with the best glass out there, you've got something that stands out above everybody out there. And that's what we've done with our optics, along with we have an internal bubble level in the bottom of your reticle, so you never lose sight of your sight picture or your target. And what we just got a patent on is when you get within 1 degree of being perfectly level, you've got a green light that comes on. And when that green light comes on, green means go. So you can squeeze that trigger, whether it's 200 yards or 1,200 yards, and have the confidence of hit what you're aiming at.
That's true. Joe, I'll try to describe what happened, what I learned, and I think maybe most lay people that are used to shooting rifles 300 yards or whatever, they probably can learn something on this. But basically, I took a CVA Cascade, which is a really good rifle. It's a stock rifle, not a custom rifle, but it's really good rifle. 6.5 PRC, which is a ballistic coefficient on that round is good. It's a good flat shooting aerodynamic bullet. It is. So you put the scope. Here's what happened, folks. Joe mounted the scope. We went down to the range out from Houston County out there, and Joe mounted the scope, and you zeroed it at 100. I'm talking about sticking the bullet in the same hole at 100. It was dead on. That wouldn't have happened without a real good scope, but it did. You zeroed. Then you shot it at various ranges, didn't you, Joe? And you recorded those numbers. Yeah. You take it from there on how you. Yeah.
Okay. Uh-huh. Okay. What we do now, we sell turnkey gun packages, Luke, or we sell just the optics. If somebody's got a good shooting gun, we just kind of require that gun shoots a minute or less at 100 yards, 3-shot group. And what that, kind of entails is a minute at 1,000 yards is a 10-inch group. So that's ethical. But anything over that size of a group is more or less unethical, in my opinion. But how we go about this is our scopes, they come with an MOA turret on them. And with that MOA turret, I will zero all the guns, whether it be 100 or 200 yards. Mm-hmm. I'll zero them whatever the customer wants them zeroed at. And after I do that, I set the zero stop on that scope, and then the the MOA turret back down on 0, and then I persist from there. I shoot 500 yards, then I shoot 800 yards, 1,000 yards, and 1,200 yards. So what I'm doing is I'm morphing the drag of that bullet from 200 yards out to 1,200 yards. And with all of those distances that I just mentioned, I'm writing down exactly what the MOA clicks are for each of those distances. Mm-hmm. So I've got 4 to 5 different distances that I've shot and recorded the MOA clicks for those. Now, along with the temperature it is that day, the elevation I'm shooting at, the type of bullet I'm shooting, the weight of the bullet I'm shooting, and the average muzzle velocity, I take all of that information and I send that to Terry, who's our master machinist, who has wrote the program for the ballistics profiles. So with that information, he is going to burn a turret in yardage. So when he gets done burning that turret in yardage, he sends it back to me. I put it on the gun and I check it. And how easy this is if you range 725 yards, you dial 725 yards on your turret, you get level and you squeeze the trigger, and you're going to hit at that elevation every single time, because we've matched that ballistic profile to that yardage turret. In a short-term verse, you might say, we've simplified shooting accuracy, not only at short distance, but long distance too. So hunters have the confidence of making a shot at 800 yards, just like they would have the confidence of making a shot at 200 yards.
Exactly. And folks, what I did once I left the rifle and the scope, the Stealth Vision scope, with Joe. So he didn't have time when we were there to do all the work. But what you'll do, and you've probably already done by now, you'll go ahead and get the I call it dope. That's what we in the Marine Corps years ago we call the dope. The clicks, we'll put it that way.
Dope. You could call it dope data ballistic profile. Yeah. Actually, Luke, you can call it whatever you want.
But we're talking about the clicks. That's a good. Yeah. Everybody can relate to that. So you got that. You will the new device, the turret there will come, and when I get it back, all I have to remember is turn it to the left. Turn the knob to the left, which zeroes it out. Then if I want to shoot 100, I just turn it to the right clockwise to 100. Or
that's
500
correct.
Or 3 or 1,000 or 12. So I mean, we're talking about some stuff that probably is not everyday knowledge for most people, but for even a layman like myself, that's pretty easy to savvy. Turn it to the left, and then you've got it's all there.
All the information is right on that turret for you, Luke. And you have to remember, Luke, when you were out here with me, here's a guy that had never shot really over 250 yards or 300. And I told him we were going to shoot first shot at 500. And he goes, oh, I don't know. And he bullseyes at 500. And then I asked him if he wants to go out any further. He said, well, I said, how about 1,200? And you said, okay. And what was your next shot? It was about 3 inches from bullseye at 1,200 yards. That's almost 3/4 of a mile, Luke. So I think we changed your philosophy and thought process just a little bit, maybe.
And people that know me know that I have a pretty good line of fun built into me. I was kidding them, folks. I told Joe and all the guys down there. I said, look, from now on, I probably won't be shooting anything less than at least 800 yards out. You know?
I love it.
Which is kidding, of course. But it's good to know that you've got a rifle. I've always been a rifleman. I have. I mean, I've been shot rifle since I was a kid. But I've never had one that I could even think about shooting 1,000 yards or really, honestly, 600 yards. That is a long way. But twice that, and to shoot that CVA, this is not a thousands of dollars rifle, folks. It's about an $800 rifle, this CVA Cascade. But to shoot a stock rifle, if you will, it's all about, to me, you've got to have a good rifle. You do. But the optics, you could not do it without those optics. I know that would be impossible, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You just couldn't accomplish it,
Yeah, well, Luke, the old saying, that rifle will only be as good as the scope you put on it.
True.
That's the old saying. And,
for years.
Usually your scope's going to cost a lot more than your rifle.
That's
but
right.
That's just how it is.
Well, that's by far the most advanced, and the clarity of that scope. You just have to almost, to really fully get it, folks. You almost have to have one on your rifle and shoot it.
Experience it. Experience is everything. It really is.
That's true. Well, so folks that want to learn more about Stealth Vision, Joe, tell them the website and then any contact information. That's what they would need. Mm-hmm.
Sure. Anybody that would like to read up and learn more about our product can go to stealthvision.com. And if there's people that have some serious inquiries about our gun packages or our optics, email me at joe@stealthvision.com. Simple as that. I'd be more than happy to reply to the emails. And if somebody gets serious about it, we'll just have a phone conversation.
You bet. That's the best way. Well, Joe, thanks again for a great time and for the knowledge that I learned and found a new friend. I look forward to the next time we get together, buddy.
Luke, I can't thank you enough, and definitely look forward to seeing you soon and getting that gun back in your hands and letting you go out and play and have fun and get excited.
Folks, let's talk a little outdoor cooking. Let me tell you about an electric smoker that I've been using for 15 years, I guess. Smoking Tex electric smokers. If you're tired of staying up all night keeping that wood fire burning when you're barbecuing, give Smoking Tex a try. They're made to last a lifetime. You can check them out at smokingtex.com. That's SMOKINTEX.com. Well, friends, Mr. Larry Weissoon is going to tell you about the finest hunting optics that we have ever found.
Luke, these are called Stealth Vision. They come from Crockett, Texas. Dr. John McCall developed them. They're 34 millimeter tubes as opposed to the narrower tubes, so more light transmission. They have a little green light that comes on. That scope is level because that's when you want to pull the trigger. They have an optional lighted reticle as well too, and a whole lot of other products. And folks can learn more about them by going to stealthvision.com.
And for seasonings, anything to do with outdoor cooking, all kind of jerky seasonings, sausage seasonings, Butcher Packer Supply. That's butcherpackersupply.com. I think the website is butcher-packer.com. Folks, how about that little intro from Ernest Tubb there? This segment here is brought to us by the Choctaw Hunting Lodge up in southeast Oklahoma, owned by the Choctaw Nation. Pyramid Air, your one-stop shop for everything airgun related. Doug's Jugs, maker of some awesome jug lines for catching catfish. That's online, DougsJugs.com. Well, folks, what do you say we head up into northern Arkansas to what I think is the best trout fishing in the continental United States? Up on the White River below Bull Shoals. Let's visit with Mr. Jacob Hansen, who manages Gaston's Resort up there. Gaston's is right on the White River. It's a famous place. I probably don't need to tell most of you about it. But, Jacob, it's summertime, but the trout, I've been seeing pictures coming. That cold water coming out of the bottom of Bull Shoals is trout perfect, isn't it?
It is, and obviously, the closer you get to the dam in the summertime, the better the fishing is generally. They like that cold water, and it doesn't get any colder than right out of the dam there.
About what is that temperature down at the bottom of that lake coming out? It's in the 60s, right?
No, it's like 52, 54.
Right now, yeah.
So people think they can just, in the middle of summer, just bail off in it. Man, it's a system shocker if you do.
We're talking about a shock, literally.
Oh, yeah. It'll wake you up or put you to sleep.
I bet, or put you out, either of the two. Okay, so, folks, Gaston's, like I say, I think 58. Y'all have been there since the 50s. I know that.
Yep, 1958.
58, they started. There's cabins there. There's guides. when you think about the White River, you know, if you've been around much in the fishing world, you think about Gaston. So Jacob here is my friend, is the manager of this place. He's the Ramrod. Now, did you tell me, or did I read a mayfly hatch for? Now we'll talk about fly fishing for trout a little bit. It's going good right now, right?
Oh yeah, I just noticed over the weekend. You know, I can tell in the mornings when I walk in the back door, there'll be usually whatever bug is hatching will be stuck to my back door of the office when we walk in, and it was covered in mayflies this weekend. So a little mayfly hatch has started, and all those guys are excited, and it almost tells you what to fish with, really.
Yeah. Now, Jacob, is most of the fishing in July and August? You know, you said closer to the dam, obviously the colder the water. Is most of the fishing up within, you know, a mile or so of the dam this time of year?
No, really.
No?
It's I'd call it trophy waters go. I'm gonna give it a good mile stretch, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But generally, the bigger browns, they're going to like the hotter it gets, the closer to the rock they're going to go. Mm-hmm. They're going to try to follow the cold up.
Yeah, they'll get into the colder water there for sure.
But that's not saying within, you know, when you get down there to Cotter, which is approximately 12, 13 miles down water from us, you still have a chance to catch big fish down there as well.
Yeah, and then for rainbows, say you book a trip with a guide, which it's probably now going to be this fall, but by golly, we're getting up there to it's going to give me so much fodder to write about in our newspaper columns and film for our TV show. I'm coming, but it's probably going to be this fall now, September maybe. But say in the heat of the summer, rainbow, let's think about just catching a limit of fish, you know, rainbows. That's right there off the bank there. How far down are you there from the dam about?
We're about 2.5 miles down below.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So plenty of good fishing right there. I know that.
Oh, absolutely.
Uh-huh.
The only thing that makes fishing from the bank a struggle is if they're releasing a lot of water. So if they have, you know, 5+ generators going, if you're a fixed point on the bank and that water is ripping by, it just takes your bait downriver too fast. You know, hard to get to leave it in water too long.
Exactly. You have to cast up and let it drift down. And
yeah, and then it just makes it a little bit more difficult. But,
yeah, right.
You know, sitting in a boat drifting that much water, you can put on the correct amount of weight and your bait will stay with you. And you know, that's kind of how you drift fish. So.
Yeah, exactly. And so that right now in the summer, drift fishing. Let's talk about my kind of fishing. Not that I can't catch a fish on a fly rod. My old uncle taught me years ago to fly fish, but on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll probably be a 4 fly fisherman. I can do it, but I tell you what I like to do. You know what I'm going to say. I like a good spinning rig where I can get down there and maybe fish some live bait or whatever makes the fish bite the quickest. Just it's usually
absolutely. So generally, when I do drift fishing, I'm going to take a mixture of power bait worms, and shrimp, and you're going to be guaranteed a bunch of numbers. And if I want to go for bigger browns, obviously I'd probably drift fish some frozen shad. Find the eddies and try to drift them into those eddies, and you'll be pretty successful there.
Yes, sir. Those trout, they're an ambush fish, like a bass in a sense, but they like that. They like to hang in that eddy water, and when some food comes drifting by, where they can nail it, don't they? That's
it. They don't put themselves in that current just for fun. They're waiting for something to come by.
Yeah, they're there. Catches of rainbows, I know a limit. You know, this day and time, so many people think limits, and well, understandably, if you go off somewhere on a trip, you'd want to catch a bunch of fish if possible. But limits, honestly, are for people that are accustomed to fishing. They're pretty common, aren't they? You know?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. You know, you can go out there so a limit of trout these days is 5. So on a pretty good day, you can go out there in a couple hours and get your limit. And the rest of the day is just throw them all back.
Yeah, catch and release.
And I mean, I've heard a lot of stories, people going out there and catching 40+ fish a day.
Yeah.
It's still, I mean, I heard it over the weekend. It still happens.
Yeah, they're there. And then, of course, the German brown trout. There's that's a destination to catch a big whopper, you know.
Absolutely.
Now, you're going to go with maybe cut. How about just if you had fresh cut bait for the Germans, I mean, the brown trout, would that be bigger bait as a rule, or anything different about fishing for them?
Well, they're just not necessarily. I mean, you can catch. I've seen brown caught on power bait, but it's just statistically, you're going to catch them on bait fish, whether it's river slicks, shiners. They really like sculpins. I don't know if y'all know what that is, but I urge you to look up a picture of a sculpin. They're gnarly looking little things, but they like those. Those are naturally in the water. Just anything like that. I mean, and I don't want to bring up fly fishing again, but heck, they even throw like mouse patterns at nighttime on top water to catch brown. They like living chunks of food, I guess.
Kind of, I always look at them as I fish for blue catfish quite a bit, especially in the wintertime. I mean, that's trophy blue, and in the spring. But they're like that. It's not uncommon, honestly, to catch a big blue catfish with a bird that fell out of a nest, or a mouse or a rat. I mean, they go for meat, and a German, it's kind of like that with them too, in a sense, isn't it?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, so that's a good. As far as say the last week or so, the bigger top end on the German brown trout that you've seen there caught. Give us kind of an idea of that.
Well, I mean, Matt Kelly, he caught, I believe it was about a 12-pound brown just last week.
Mm-hmm.
That was a heck of a thing. I think they were fishing with. I think they were throwing shad that day.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Now,
so that's some
about
big
every
ones.
Every day they're catching 24-inch browns just about daily now.
I've caught only a handful of brown trout. I've caught quite a few rainbow, but I don't think I'm stretching it on this. But as far as in the continental U.S., I don't know of a place that you can. I fished a lot of streams up in Colorado. We used to outfit elk and bear hunts up there for several years, but I've never. As far as going to a place where you're going to catch trout, the White River is about as good as it gets, in my opinion, from what I know. And a lot of people agree with me too.
Yeah, I agree with you, and not to mention it comes at a price point that just about anybody can do it.
Yes, right, and you can, like we mentioned. Let's give our friends some options. They can come to to Gaston's, and they could rent a room or all kind of. I mean, you guys have all kind of different lodging cabins, big houses.
Yeah, I have anything from my smallest, most economical. I call it my bedroom accommodation, which is enough for two guys. There's 2 beds in it, a private bath, and with TV, coffee pot, and whatnot. And that'll run you $125 a night, all the way up to you want to bring a group of 20 guys. I can do that. In a 10-room unit that runs you about $2,000 a night. So I have everything in between it.
You do. And then guides. You've got a team of excellent guides there. I know that. You could bring your boat, I assume, if a person wanted to, right?
Yeah. If you have a boat you want to bring, you will gladly. They'll gladly let you out on the water with it. Absolutely.
Do that.
We got rental boats. We got guide service. Any way to get you on the water, we can make it happen.
Also have a restaurant there that I can't wait to get back in there. A restaurant where you catch fillet, you get your fish filleted up there and eat them that evening for dinner, right?
Yep, they do offer that as well. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good deal. Well, Jacob, tell everyone Gaston's Resort, very easy to go to the website, but invite them to the website. And I know it's summer. That's a good place to fish some good cold water. And down in Texas where I live, it's a real treat to fish water 55 degrees. How do they learn more about you or get plan a trip up there?
Sorry, you broke up on me, Luke. Say that to me one more time.
Yes, sir. How do they plan a trip? Go online there to plan a trip with you.
So I urge you to get on our websites and kind of go through the descriptions of the accommodation so you kind of know what's fitting your group size. And then you're going to call me at 870-431-5202, and I'll go over rates and availability with you.
You bet. The website is what?
Gastons.com.
Yep.
GASTONS.com.
Jacob, thank you, buddy. And it's going to be fall before long. I'm finally going to get up there and have some fun and catch some trout. So I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Can't wait to have you up here.
Folks, this is Luke. For about the past decade, I've been hunting editor for Air Gun Hobbyist magazine. I think the only magazine devoted strictly to air gun shooting and hunting in the country. Well, in that length of time, I've learned quite a bit about big bore air guns and smaller calibers too. A spot to go to that if you're interested in air guns, you need to know about Pyramid Air. The website is PYRAMYD, pyramidair.com. They have anything and everything you need, from the guns themselves, the big bores or the smaller calibers, to the accessories. Just remember pyramidair.com, and there's a number when you get on the website if you need to call and talk to somebody. Give them a buzz, and they can fill you in on little details that you might need to know about shooting or hunting with big bore air guns. While you're on the website there, I'd like you to check out the big bore air gun that I've done a great deal of hunting with. It's the Seneca Dragon Claw, 50 caliber, pressures up to 3,000 psi, and it looks like a conventional rifle. Wooden stock. I think you'll like the appearance, and I know you'll like the performance. It shoots not only bullets, but also air bolts as well, tipped with a broadhead. Check it out. It's the Seneca Dragon Claw.
The snowflakes fall as winter comes, and time just seems to fly.
Friends, this segment is brought to us by CVA muzzleloaders. In my opinion, the very best muzzleloaders in the world, the ones that I shoot. You can check them out online, cva.com. AGM Global Vision, maker of the Rattler and the Adder that I use. You can check them out online too, agmglobalvision.com. Kubi's Wild Game Processing and Kubi's Restaurant in Dallas. And Vineyard Max, maker of some awesome deer attractant and some very fine game feeders and fish feeders, located down in Nacogdoches, Texas. Check them out at vineyardmax.net. Well, friends, this is Luke. I hope you've enjoyed our show thus far. I thoroughly enjoy this time each week that I can share with our guests and all of you. We've been doing this for 16 and a half years now. A little bit longer than that. I know Larry Weissoon has been with me in Campfire Talk here for 16 years, so he was there when we first kicked things off. So let's talk about big bore air guns. I've got a little time left in today's show. It's a topic that I'm pretty well versed in. I've been the hunting editor for the only big bore, or only air gun magazine, I should say, that I know of, print magazine in the country, called Air Gun Hobbyist. I've been the hunting editor for about 9 or 10 years, and I've hunted with big bores quite a bit. I've killed whitetail, I've killed exotics, lots of hogs, many hogs with them. I know what they'll do, and I know what they won't do. And I know what I prefer, how I like to hunt with them. Now, there are big bore air guns that will shoot very, very hard a couple of times, maybe developing 500 foot-pounds of energy, and these pressure up to, some of them, over 4,000 psi. Now, you have to have a compressor, of course. We'll get into that in a little bit. You've got to have air to get these, obviously. So you're not going to be doing this with a foot pump. You need a compressor. So then there's other ones. My favorite, people ask me, what do you like to shoot? Well, I've shot them all. I have, and I've hunted with most of them. I say all the major big bore air guns, put it that way. The Seneca Dragon Claw is, if you've looked at big bore air guns, it's easily recognized. It's got a wooden stock. It looks like a rifle, feels like a rifle. So the Seneca Dragon Claw, it's not the most powerful one. They have the Seneca Dragon Claw 2, which is now they're more powerful than ever. And so what would that do? Let's start with at that level. One that pressures up just around, a little over 3,000 psi. Okay, are you going to be shooting deer at 100 yards with it? I don't recommend that. That's not what it's designed for. I sight mine in at 60 yards dead on. And I don't hunt with any air gun at the longer extended yardages. Now, there are a lot of shooters of air guns that shoot deer out to 125, maybe 150 yards. I don't, and I'm not going to knock those guys if they know their trajectory and they're shooting a very powerful big bore. I know it's capable. They're capable of doing it. I just don't set up for when I'm hunting for that. Now, the Seneca Dragonclaw is good out to me, I'm not going to be shooting much more than 60 yards at game with it, at deer or hogs, that size game. Now, will it group at 100? Yes, it will, and that's fun to shoot. But, that's just the energy at that range is not enough for me to be trying to shoot a deer with it. It might shoot through a deer at that range, I don't know, but that's too far. 60 yards and in, if you, now, take for instance hogs, hunting hogs, which I hunt a lot. If you take the Seneca Dragonclaw shooting bullets, and I'm talking about a 300-plus grain bullet, big old hunk of lead, people are surprised to know that these big-bore air guns shoot big bullets. Well, that are big pellets, I guess I should say, not bullets, but chunks of lead, if you will, slugs. To develop energy, they have to shoot a big slug. Think about it, because the velocities are going to be, 700, 800, maybe 900 feet per second. So they have to have a big hunk of lead to transfer that energy to foot-pounds, to kill the animals. So, 50, 60 yards, I set up hunting tight, I call it, when I'm using my Seneca Dragonclaw. Now, the Seneca Dragonclaw also shoots air bolts, and many people love air bolts. I don't. I have to be totally honest with you. I hunt with a bow also, and I shoot my arrows through the bow with a compound bow. That's just me. But I've got buddies that really love the Seneca Dragonclaw shooting air bolts, and that's good. I mean, they might not be bow hunters, but they do hunt with that. Now, Cape buffalo have been killed with the Seneca Dragonclaw shooting air bolts. Just think about it. A crossbow shoots, 300 feet per second, a bolt. Well, these shoot faster than that, and they're very accurate. You've got a scope on them. So it's clear to me, after being a bow hunter so long, why the air bolts with a good broadhead are so effective. They're very effective. But, again, I like to hunt with shooting slugs, the 300, 310, whatever, different slugs. I try different slugs types to see what works best. So the Seneca Dragonclaw, that's the one Luke shoots. When somebody asks me about it, that's what I tell them. Now, let's think about where are you you're going to need a place to buy slugs, your gun, everything. Here's what you need to know. Pyramyd Air, Pyramyd. Pyramyd Air is what I call the one-stop shop for everything air gun related. You buy everything there. Not only air guns, you can buy just about many outdoor items you can get there. Bows, crossbows, all kind of stuff. But you can go online, pyramydair.com, check them out. You're going to need to have a place like this, and that's the best one that I know about. Now, you got to supply air to this rifle, right? Now, when I first started, I had air tanks, and I would take an air tank to a paintball place, and they'd fill it up, and I'd shoot a little bit, and then the tank would lose the pressure, and I had to go back. Nowadays, affordable compressors are available, and you can find them at pyramydair.com. They're very easy to operate. You have to plug your compressor in, connect it to the valve on your rifle, and just set the if you want it to be 3,000 psi, set it at 3, whatever, and let it run for a few minutes, and it pressures the gun up. Now, the Seneca Dragonclaw, you can shoot shots that I call killing shots with it for hunting deer or hogs. 6, maybe 8. I don't know. It shoots hard for several shots instead of expelling all that energy with 2 shots. So I like that about the Seneca Dragonclaw. Again, there are rifles out there, and you might want one of them that shoots very, very hard for 2 shots or 3, something like that. So I don't even use air tanks anymore. When I'm going on a hunt, I'll take my compressor with me, It's a little portable and not much bigger than a car battery, a big car battery. Not hard to move around at all. I'll take it with me, and I'll go into the hunt with a 3,000, a little over 3,000 psi in the air chambers there of my Dragon Claw. I'm not going to be shooting more times than that gun will shoot hard on a hunt. I might shoot a deer once. I might have to have a follow-up shot. Maybe, probably not. They're going to be close, and I'm going to put that bullet where it needs to be. So I don't even use it. I don't even use an air tank. I never fool with them anymore. So if I shoot, say I shoot twice on a morning hunt at a deer with my Seneca Dragon Claw, go back to camp, whatever, take care of the deer, hang him up on the meat pole, put the meat in the cooler, whatever I need to do. That evening, I don't fool with it. I don't recharge it. It's got plenty of pressure in it for an evening hunt. I just take it back out, and I'm ready to go. So I hope these tips on big bores has helped you a little bit, air rifles. They're not silent. Out of the box, they're not. They're loud. I mean, you start expelling that kind of pressure, it's got to be loud, right? So if you've been on the fence thinking about you might want to start hunting, and check with your state regulations, with your fishing game department to make sure which ones are legal before you take to the field or before you buy one if you're buying one to hunt with. And I've even got a Seneca, my Seneca Dragon Claw. I've got a couple of them. I have a AGM Global Vision thermal scope on one of them. And you're talking about fun at night, stalking hogs. And I can get easily, if you get downwind using thermal at night, you can sneak in there within 50 yards with no problem. Put a bipod down and shoot them up close. So there's a lot of ways you can use a big bore air gun. I just don't use them for long range hunting. Folks, we're out of time for today's show. I hope you've enjoyed visiting with all of our friends. I want to remind you that our TV show, A Sportsman's Life, is on it's on YouTube. Some people watch it on YouTube, but a lot of people watch it on Carbon TV. And if you watch, I've got a segment coming up probably there now on A Sportsman's Life on the hunting with big bore air guns. And I'm showing you my favorite ones, the Dragon Claw, Seneca Dragon Claw. Hope you can watch that show, A Sportsman's Life. Be safe in the outdoors. I hope you can get out this weekend and enjoy the outdoors. And remember, catfishradio.org. You can go there and you can learn a lot about what old Luke's doing down here in Texas. Till next week, be safe, folks. Folks, that about wraps our show up for this week. I've enjoyed being with you, and I hope you had a good time, too. This segment was made possible by AGM Global Vision, maker of the Rattler and the Adder, two awesome thermal scopes that I use for all my night hunting. Check out AGM, all the products that they have there online, agmglobalvision.com. And, folks, we're also brought to you by the Choctaw Hunting Lodge up in southeast Oklahoma, located about, 45 minutes west of Hugo, Oklahoma, owned by the Choctaw Nation. It's about 45,000 acres of awesome mountain, country, hills, valleys, loaded with game. Lots of eastern turkey, and they do eastern turkey hunts if you're looking for a spot to hunt turkey in the spring. Also, I want to remind you about the Seneca 50 caliber Dragon Claw that shoots bullets and pellets. And by pellets, I'm talking about 200 and 210 grain lead, chunks of lead. It's a big bore air gun that I use. Check out the Seneca Dragon Claw there at pyramidair.com.